Bloody hell, fire. Alright, here we go. Right, Phil Smith. Started playing for Birkenshaw in 1986, I think. Not 100% sure. Playing position, to be honest, I've played that many positions for Birkenshaw, I've forgotten more. Started off as a centre, stand-off, loose forward, scrum half, hooker, second row. I've played the odd game at prop, or filled in at prop, should I say. Best player, to be honest, for playing for Birkenshaw, there are that many good players, it's hard to pick one out. Whoever put a shirt on for Birkenshaw, it's always a privilege to play for them. The coaches that we had some great coaches, and top of the list from the coaching side, which I think is a harder job than playing, Ian Fairhurst and Mark Robinson. Richard Esseltine Spongy, great effort by that lad, and coaching, just hold on, my dog's chewing something, be back in a minute.
Hi, it's Andy Hurst, or Hursty. Normally played 6 or 7, so half-back. My first season was 1992, and then I had a season or two then, and then came back in 2001. Best player is really hard because there's so many good players that have been at Birkenshaw throughout the years. I think when I came back in 2001, so you got your both Turpins who were outstanding, Big Bird, Banksy, people like that. You saw their name on the sheet and you knew you were good being for a good day. But the best player I ever played with, I'm going to go from my first stint there, and that was Steve Parrish, who was about 6'8", could run as fast as anybody, and as a young half-back following him around the pitch, it was just fantastic. So he was my most outstanding player I've played with. In terms of memories, again, there's so many to choose from. Starting a season with 12 men at Moor Green and then getting to the Pennine League final. That were amazing. Trip to Dublin was just sensational. The fundraising for it, the getting there, the outstanding game we all played. Only secondly beaten by the fact that the ferry were cancelled the next day, so we got another day in Dublin. Spongy having a tantrum at Park Amateurs once, throwing himself on the floor and screaming at the ref, then getting up and having a fight and getting himself sent off. Tony Marshall, when he was accusing everyone of nicking his shirt, and that lads were stealing off each other, weren't acceptable in the changing rooms. Then after the game, it appeared he'd put 8 and 10 on, so he was wearing both prop shirts. Ben Cousins would have to feature in this. The only man who most people use sat-nav to get around, Ben uses his knowledge of fish and chip shops to get around Yorkshire. And also Ben Cousins, when Mark Robinson were giving a very, very in-depth team talk at Dodworth one day, Ben was in the background behind him giving out Christmas cards. That proper made me laugh. But I think probably my best memory was lifting the trophy for the Bradford Cup final, which Birkenshaw had been chasing for quite a while, and we finally did it that year, so that was a great memory. In terms of the club, in 40 years, it's just outstanding. It's one of the best clubs around, if not the best club around. It's very family orientated. It's got some great young kids coming through, which then makes the future really bright. So I think it's really important we remember where we've come from, remember where we want to get to, and all keep working really hard to get there. So thanks Birkenshaw, you've been a blast.
Name, Paul Bancroft, or Banksy. Position, second row. Year I started with the club, 1988, I was 10. Best player I've played with, I find it hard to pick one particular player who I've played with, because I've played with that many great players over the years, and coaches as well. I'd like to thank all the coaches, all the players I've played with. Particularly I'd like to thank Ian Fairhurst as well, who was my school teacher at the time, for introducing me to rugby league. But I think I'm going to go outside the box with the most influential person, and that is Billy Armitage. When we were kids, Billy was like a second father to me in a lot of ways. When my dad was working or couldn't take me to games, Billy would be the first one to take me, and we used to go to away games in his Cavalier SRI with Simply the Best by Tina Turner, playing over and over again, trying to G us up for the game. It's a memory I'll never forget, and it's one of them special things I'd like to thank Billy for. Now, memorable moments, I've got 3. The first one was my first year at Open Age, my first season. We played in Waits, Stainland. Stainland played on a hill in We were playing uphill. They kicked off to us. Redders caught the ball, broke through straight away. Got to halfway line. He stood looking around for support. There was no support there, so he carried on. By now, someone attempted to tackle him. There was someone hanging on his back. They're followed by someone else, but Redders kept on going. By now, he's getting closer and closer to the try line. He got to the try line with 3 people under his back. Now, at the same time that this had happened, the physio at the time, I forget whose name it was, had lit a fag and walked up the touchline and met Redders just in time for him to crash over the try line, score the try, and plunk the fag straight in his mouth. It became my hero that day, did Redders, and I'll never forget that moment. The second moment was a few seasons later. We're playing at Calder Valley in Halifax, and they had a player playing for him who was the same age as me, called Jamie Fielden. His brother was Stuart Fielden, who was the Bradford Bulls prop. Now, him and Simon Armitage had a bit of bad history together for some reason, but with Simon playing on the wing and Jamie playing in the forwards, there was no chance of them ever really coming together until this day, when Jamie was tackled by someone else and laid on the floor. Simon came charging in for the wing, swinging like a lunatic, connected with Jamie and accidentally broke his nose. Jamie jumped up in a fit of rage. Simon panicked, didn't realise what he'd done, and set off running and hid behind the post. Now Jamie chased after him. As he come running towards him, Simon set off running again, but towards the opposite post, with Jamie chasing after him. He just couldn't catch him, it was just too big, and Simon just carried on, leapt over the fence and was gone down the valley, never to be seen again. And finally, the last memory was a few years later, we were top of the Premier League. We was entered into the Challenge Cup, and the glamour tie to get was Dublin away, and unbelievably that's where we ended up going. It was such a great experience. The club all pulled together to get us there in a little short turnaround of, I think, of only 2 weeks, and it was one of the greatest rugby playing days. I probably played in the best Birkie team I think I've ever played in. Future for the club. I hope the upcoming generation can take what I've taken out of Birkenshaw Rugby League, which is making some of the best friends possible. I'd say 90% of my mates all come from Rugby League, and Birkenshaw in particular, and you do everything together. You go on stag do's together, holidays, weddings, unfortunately funerals, but you do these things together and you do it as a team, and you know, it's the special times that memories I'll never forget. And one thing I've always said is, I always wanted to preach is, we're not pixies, we're not elves, let's get pissed and shit ourselves.
Hi, my name's Dave Hurst. Used to play hooker for Birkenshaw. First came to play for me in 1992 from Dudley Hill. Stayed a few seasons, then went back to Dudley Hill, and then I came back to Birkenshaw in 1999, and still involved with them to this day. I coached the juniors, the under-12s, alongside Adam Lincoln and Tim Elliwell. Great to be involved with the juniors, great to still be involved with this great club, and really proud and pleased that I can give something back to it, which we are doing with this great junior setup what we've got at this club. From a playing point of view, again, loads of great memories. Fortunate enough to play in some good teams at Birkenshaw, some teams that probably weren't as good, but the one thing they all had in common were just quality of people involved with them, and 99.9% of the lads that I played with at Birkenshaw have been great lads who were great friends, and lots of them still call good friends even to this day, and that's the thing that I'll take away from my rugby career. Being part of some good teams, and we got to a number of cup finals, and a couple of highlights would be, you know, being in the first Birkenshaw team to win a Bradford Cup final, which was with the second team in 2001 against Queensbury, and then probably a bigger highlight being in the first team, the first Birkenshaw team to win a Bradford Cup in 2005 with the first team. And to have been in both of them teams again, can look back now with a bit of pride in that. Myself and Tony Marshall were the two people that were involved in both of those games. So a great achievement, and something what I'm proud about and look back with lots of fondness. Again, played in some really good teams, and I would have to say the team of 2007 was something special, and the best team that I played within at Birkenshaw. Full of quality players, a team what Mark Robinson assembled, some lads who were playing academy at the Bulls, and some other lads who played at a really good level came, and with just a quality team and a quality season. Getting to Bradford Cup final, Pennine Cup final, with just missed out and unlucky in the league. But that were a great season and probably the highlight of my playing career at Birkenshaw. Some of the individual players that stand out to me, I would have to mention Phil Smith, going back a few years now, but still plays in the Masters, and even when you watch him to this day, still what a fit lad, and just a quality rugby player and a great person off the field as well. Some of the players alongside that stand out for me would be Johnny Turpin, another workhorse who just run all day and tackle all day. Martin Robinson, he'll be pleased I've mentioned him, but another in his heyday great three-quarter, full-back. Banksy, one of the best forwards, if not the best forward I've ever played alongside. Again, ran well and truly above his weight and tackled anything that moved, and just a great rugby player and a great person to have alongside you. I'd also have to mention my brother, and I'm not saying it just because he's my brother, but Andy Hurst, in his heyday, a quality half-back who had such vision and pace and just a great rugby player, and again, privileged to play alongside him. If I had to name the best person I've probably played alongside in my time at Birkenshaw, that would have to be George Flanagan. Played in that 2007 season, and in a really, really good quality team. George stood out in that team for us, and although it was a short spell, it was just quality in everything he did, and again, a pleasure and a privilege to play alongside him. I think the future for Birkenshaw is massive. You look at the numbers we have involved with the juniors, the quality of training they're getting, the facilities we've got. This club's only going to get bigger and better, and I'm pleased to say that I'm playing my part in that. Got my lad who plays in the under-12s, and I'm hoping he has as many years of enjoyment out of the game and being involved with this great club as I have. Congratulations on the last 40 years, Birkenshaw, and here's to the next 40 years.
Hi guys, Ben Cousin. Played anywhere in the back row. I think I first started playing with Berkey in 2004. Not too sure. I think I was about 24, 25 years old when I first came down. Great club, great people, run by great people as well. I think the best people I've played with, for me, it's got to be George Flanagan and Andy Hurst. George, just a live wire. Andy Hurst, fantastic organiser, great person and great mate. I think the best thing for me is the season where we went unbeaten until I think it was somewhere in Huddersfield, not St Joseph's. In fact, I think it was St Joseph's, where we lost the league title on a Wednesday night when Robbo was coaching. We got to both Bradford Cup final and the Yorkshire Cup final. We ended up walking away with nothing, but we had a fantastic season that year. Hopefully this year, the thoughts going forward, the kids will do great. Hopefully they'll come through into the open age, and the team will go from strength to strength.
Ed Filtners, year started 1988. Player was mainly second row. Most memorable players would be George Flanagan and Neil Cherryhome, but then if you look at it from the playing career overall, it's got to be Paul Bancroft, unfortunately. Most memorable memory would be the trip to Ireland, the Challenge Cup trip. We went to Dublin for multiple reasons. And then hopes for the club would be just a massive build on where they're at now, making sure they've got a hub for the community, players from tots through to masters, respect from all the leagues that they play with, and just massive ongoing success, which we're trying to build on from now.
Hello Birkenshaw, and congratulations on our 40th year celebration. What a rollercoaster it's been over that time. My name's Martin Robinson. I was a fullback, and in later years I was a centre. I came to the club in 1991, coming from Dewsbury Moor to join the under-16s. But I suppose the most skillful player I ever played with was Dave Turpin, easily. He could create a gap out of nothing, just run at a line, twist his hips, slide through, and then with 40 metres to go, couldn't really be bothered running it, so he just offload to myself or usually Ronnie. Great supply, great player, and great in defence as well. So if I've got to pick one moment, I suppose it's got to be our first ever Bradford Cup win. I'd already lost in 2 finals, So it was great to win that third one. So yeah, and we'd beaten some quality sides in the semi and the quarter final as well. So yeah, that was a true great moment for everyone in the club. But I suppose if there's one person I'd have to single out that really needs everybody's congratulations is Andy Redmond. They were back in the 90s. We had a committee meeting. I wasn't there back then, but there was a vote then, I believe, to whether or not the team should fold, and he not necessarily single-handedly, but certainly with his own efforts, kept the side alive back then in the 90s. But then the biggest thing was the reason why the club is what it is today, with all the juniors we've got, the effort that Andy put in right at the start. He started, I don't know if anybody knows this or the people in this room tonight, but he started a junior side down the middle school. And none of the kids there were ever going to play for Birkenshaw. They'd already got sides playing at West Bowling and places like that. But he persevered because he knew that it was a way to get us started. And in the end, he got some kids that weren't playing for the clubs, nurtured them along, got them started a team up at Birkenshaw with a couple of kids from some of the guys in this room today. And we started a side out, and from that, it's all come to where we are today. So if we're here again in 50 years' time, I hope I'm here, I hope you're all here, but it'll be because of Andy Redmond. So well done, Andy. Well done, everybody at Birkenshaw. Onwards and upwards. And yeah, let's have a great night tonight. See you guys.
Hi, I'm Craig Jesse, and my position was sub. I joined Birkenshaw 2012, about halfway through that season. My brother brought me up, training, bit of fitness, and then I ended up loving it. I signed up and really enjoyed my time. Best player I played with. People are going to say on these videos that, you know, it was a tough choice. I played with a lot of good players, and guy I'd pick would be Craig Morley. Very good going forward, but absolutely ferocious in defence. Some of the tackles were just phenomenal. Memorable moment. Well, as everyone knows, wasn't exactly known for my scoring prowess. But my best moment in rugby was a home game. Pretty certain it was against Clayton. I remember we were going down the hill, and normally when we're anywhere near opposition posts, I'm shifted out somewhere, but I found myself at first receiver. I remember taking a pass off Paul Riley. I remember handing off, stepping over way, and all of a sudden try line were there, dived over, and as soon as I touched that ball down, everything just popped. Everyone dived on me, shouting my name, jumping on me. It's what a feeling. Cyan Redders up on the hill, shouting, chanting. It was just an amazing feeling. I was on top of the world. To score my first try for Birkenshaw, I was feeling fantastic. Obviously, it was disallowed 5 seconds after for a forward pass, but up until that point, that was my greatest moment at Birkenshaw. The future of Birkenshaw, well, when I started there, they had an old site cabin for changing rooms, some ropey showers. We only had one team, always scratching for players. But the effort the people behind the scenes have put in to get to this point is just phenomenal. It's just the sacrifice that they give their time. You can't thank them enough for what they've done, and I hope in time that these people will be remembered for what they've done. I'm proud to be have met these people, proud to play for Birkenshaw, and I've made a lot of good friends here. I'm probably start drinking with them now.
Can't see me saying it's that bloody dark. Jesus, what a picture. Right, Phil Smith, playing position. I think I've played most positions for Birkenshaw. Started off as a centre, went to stand off, scrum half, rules forward, hooker, second row, filled in odd position in a game at prop and wherever else I needed to play. Best player who played for Birkenshaw. To be honest, there's that many good players who's played for Birkenshaw, and it's hard to pick out one. I wouldn't like to nominate one person. For me, whoever played for Birkenshaw, got stuck in and grafted or whatever, it was always an honour to play with them. Anybody who put one on, whether it be first team or second team, it didn't really matter. On the coaching side, I think we've had some tremendous coaches over the years. Ian Fairhurst and Mark Robinson, great lads. Taught me a lot when I first started playing. Richard Esseltine, another top bloke, put his heart and soul into the club. Mark Parry, another lad. Didn't play so many games under Mark because I skipped and went and played for Keighley for a bit on and off. Also with Martin Crick, another lad. Didn't get the opportunity. I didn't think of what he should have done, Martin. He was a good coach and a great lad. Mick Parrish, when he turned up, he was all right. Alan Spencer, and I can't remember who else. There's too many to name. The future of the club, well, I take my hat off to so many people who's been involved with the club from the beginning to now. David Lincoln, Eric Cross, Clive, I can't remember his second name, Brian and Bev Emsley, Simon Armitage, I think is a true legend, Adam Lincoln, Andy Redmond. For what they've put into the club over the last few years, I think is absolutely unbelievable. Where the club is now, I think the future's bright. They've got the juniors. They had the juniors in the past. They've got the juniors now. The building for the future. And I'm sorry I can't be at the 40th celebration. I've got a prior engagement, but I'd just like to say what a tremendous club Birkenshaw Rugby League club is. It's done a great deal for me, and I love being involved with it, with the Masters, and I hope you all have a tremendous evening. Thanks very much and good night.
Hey Payton, just thought I'd do mine live from East Byley, seeing as it's training night. Leon Crick, I played for Birkenshaw since 1990, I think, when I was 7, in one of the first junior teams that Birkenshaw had. I played scrum half probably as I got older. I always had number 7 on my back. I think that's because I made Esseltine give me it. Greatest moment with the club, or most memorable moment, I'd say under 12s Bradford Cup final, winning that. I think it's the only time I've ever won a Bradford Cup final. Best player I've played with is a tough one, so I'm going to be cheeky and pick 3. Best back, I'd say Dave Turpin. I think he was just class, probably the most laid back ever, but everything he did was just brilliant. Half back, Andy Hurst. He probably looked after me a bit as I came through as a young half-back and was class. Forward, just because we had a bit of a partnership going with his old inside ball, Banksy, class player and a top lad as well. And I forgot to add, I played all my junior rugby at Birkenshaw from 7 through to 16, turned up an age, and then I was a bit of a shithouse and left and went to Batley Vic, and Esseltine disowned me, and then begged me to come back, and I did just before Dublin, which again were a bit of a shithouse trip, but it was a cracking weekend with the lads, and I'm sure lots of lads' memorable moments took place over in Dublin. Mine were when Wilkins pissed in some poor bloke's shoe and chucked it overboard, so yeah, second memorable moment.
Name, Lee Wilkins, played at Birkenshaw from 2003 to 2008. Position, prop forward. Greatest moment at Birkenshaw. Been quite a few really, but I must have to say, Dublin away, what an absolutely fantastic trip that was. Absolutely brilliant. Best player I've played with? Hurts me to say this really, but probably Dave Turpin. Laziest man in the world, but absolutely fantastic at what he does. Great guy. Going forward, the club, currently coaching the under-7s, helping out with other age groups as well. The clubs have got a great future. Absolutely fantastic place to be at the minute. All the best for the future, guys.
Do I have to say my name?
Yeah.
Alright, I forgot
Go.
Spongy, played in the early 90s for Birkenshaw. Best player I've ever played with. Played with a lot of good players, but I don't think I've ever played with anybody as good as Stevie Parrish. Played for us when we got into the Premiership division, when the likes of Ovenden, West Bowling, Siddle were all there. We only played 8 games, but we won 7 of them. and he was the main reason why. Then went on to coaching, coached in, I can't remember when, early 2000s, and again coached a lot of good players. I think the best player I coached, difficult really, Dave Turpin's got to be one of them, the lazy Dave Turpin, but his brother wasn't bad either, Johnny Turpin. He's actually he's filming this. But no, some great days as a coach. I think the highlight, without a doubt, has got to be Dublin. Challenge Cup, funded by the Rugby League, went over there, gave them a good hiding, and we had a great time. All the best for the future. Junior's looking good. Looking forward to my grandkids, the Batemans, all playing at open age.
Good evening, everybody. Simon Armitage, aka Boy, aka Top Gun, or Baldrick, as familiarly known by some. Position, Mr. Versatile. Wherever my coach needed me, I was there. Years played for the club. I joined the club in 1990 as an 11-year-old, and played with the under 12s, and continue to progress through the age groups with them, with the likes of Paul Bancroft, Dan West. I remember the first training session, Dan West hanging off the monkey ropes, and nothing much has changed there. Last played for the club in 2016 in the Division 5 Championship winning side, which got promoted. So a career spanning of 26 years. Best player played with? Over those 26 years, it had to be Dave Turpin. Watched him initially. The first time I ever saw him play was playing for the Bradford Bulls, or Bradford Northerners, they were known at the time, and him scoring a full length of the field try against St Helens. And thinking, wow, what a player! And later down the line, a few years later, he was playing on the opposite side in the centre to me and his brother Johnny Turpin, who were on the left side, and Dave was on the right hand side. But he was a phenomenal player, and a player that could make a break out of nothing. Most memorable moments. Wow, there's been a few, hasn't there? So. Probably I struggled to just squeeze in one, unfortunately, so I've had to go with my top three. So in third place was getting caught at Odsal with the bullman's head on my head prior to the Bradford Cup final against Queensbury. I wasn't playing, I was actually out injured at the time, and the groundsman caught me in the storeroom running about like an idiot with the bullman's head on my head. So that was certainly one memorable moment. Number two has to be the try that I scored in our first Bradford Cup appearance against West Bowling. And I think it was 2005, was it? Maybe 2004. Coached by Darren Collins. It was a team full of misfits, dragged in from every corner of Bradford, and we were actually relegated that season. But we managed by hook or by crook somehow to make it to the Bradford Cup final, and we beat West Bowling, a strong West Bowling side at Odsal, and I scored the last try. So that was a memorable moment for a number of reasons. But the most memorable moment, I think, has to be the Jamie Fielden incident. And for those of you in the audience who don't know that story, then I'm not going to tell you it, because if you don't know it, then you're not worthy to know it. So it's legendary, and highly regrettable, highly embarrassing. But it happened, it's there, and it has to be my number one most memorable moment. So thoughts for the future. Wow. I think, again, there's probably a couple for me, but the first one is, the club's objective is to achieve national conference status in the next 5 years. Now, everything has to be geared towards us achieving that. There's a long way to go, a lot of effort to achieve it, and it would be nice to galvanise some additional support from other quarters of the club, because so much falls to so few to kind of drive the club forward and to ensure that it continues to grow. So many moving parts to it now, but hopefully that's the objective, to achieve national conference at open age level in the next 5 years. And the second one is really to be playing out of a facility that's one of the top grassroots facilities in the country. That given the growth that we've seen over the last 8 years, thanks to the likes of Adam and Andy and all the coaches who put so many hours, and all the other volunteers and administrators who put so many hours in across the age groups. We're at 8 junior sides now, 1 open age side, and the work that obviously Paul Bancroft and some of the masters do to keep the masters going. So there's some fantastic work that goes in across all the age groups and all the sides. But to be in a position where we're at a national conference level at open age, and to be playing out of one of the grassroots facilities, the best grassroots facilities in the UK, that's got to be the thoughts for the future and the club's objectives. And ideally, somebody to pick up the mantle for this next thing, which I need to retire. And everyone must be sick to death of me getting naked to this, but ultimately we need somebody who's going to step in and take up the mantle for this.
Name, Matty Honeysett, position hooker, years at the club 2004 to current. Best moment at Birkenshaw, probably one of the Bradford Cup wins that we had. Probably one against Wibsey where they'd hammered us the year before and we got a bit of payback. Message for the future: I'm currently helping with under 11s with Dimsdale, but try and keep an eye on other teams round. There's some great talent on show, and I think we're well on his way to being the biggest club in Bradford. All the best, guys.
Name's Johnny Turpin, or Terps. Played in centre, standoff, loose forward, hooker, scrum half, more or less anywhere where I can be picked. First year in club were 1995. After first team, we just got beat in Bradford Cup. Best player I've ever played with. I'm a bit tied with this. Played with some fantastic players, some really good club men as well. But the two that stand out are George Flanagan and Dave Turpin. I know I'm not being biased or anything, but two completely different, contrasting players, but two fantastic players. Most memorable moment, had some great moments with club, had some absolute awful ones as well, but some really good ones. With Dublin, Challenge Cup runs, West Bowling, but the one that stands out most of all is the fight we had at Brighouse, when everybody were involved. Tony Marshall joined in as a substitute and match got abandoned. It was a really, really good memory with that. And thoughts on future, I mean, future's going to be fantastic. There's shed loads of kids, loads of enthusiasm, and they're just about getting to the right age now where they'll start pushing forward for first team spots.
Name Adam Lincoln, position winger. First year with the club, 1980. Player, a tough one. Having been with the club for so long, played with some really good players, but I've gone for Mark Parry. Awesome player, really good coach as well, and a top bloke. Most memorable moment, we were playing Brighouse I think it was in the Premier Division, and they kicked off and I caught it on the full, and I went through, I burst through the line and scored. I was that excited that I dived over the try line and dived straight over the dead ball line. But fortunately, because I was a little bit quick, the referee couldn't keep up with me, so the try was given. But I think if you asked Ian Fairhurst or Mark Robinson, they'd tell you that I'd actually dived over the dead ball line and say I was stood behind the posts. Thoughts? I'm just so proud to be a part of this club. It's fantastic. Over 150 kids involved now. Birkenshaw Blue Dogs, rebranded. The place is just going from strength to strength, and I just hope that we have another 40 years. Fantastic.
Ian Stewart, half back. First year played for the club, I think, was 1990 or 91 in the under-16s, somewhere around that area anyway. Best player I played alongside would be Phil Smith, an absolute legend of the club, a tackling machine, and certainly somebody who I looked up to when I first started out. A great guy on the pitch, great guy off the pitch. Memorable moments, there's been plenty, but I think captaining the second team to the Bradford Cup final win in 2001 was probably something special. Probably the highlight of my Birkenshaw career, to be fair. We beat a Queensbury side who'd won the cup 4 years on the trot, I think it was, and to turn them over when we weren't expected to was a superb thing to do. The team spirit was fantastic, and just a great set of lads around that time. Maybe just another memorable moment would probably be when 4 or 5 of us turned up for our first training session with the Open Age. I think we were 16 going on 17. Me, Morton, Brandon, Mark Wilson and maybe another. And some big guy called Mark Parry grabbed us and said, right, you lot, you and me. And that pretty much cemented our futures with Birkenshaw, I think. So that's certainly a memorable moment back then. Just for the future of the club, absolutely amazing. We've got so many kids involved now, and it's only a matter of time, maybe 4 or 5 years before we start to see them kids come through, and hopefully in 5-6 years' time we'll have a team that's competing in the conference. So all the best for the next 40 years.
Hello, my name's Stephen Sheriff. I started playing for Birkenshaw when I was 12 years old, about 1988. And that brings me on to my favourite player, which is Paul Bancroft, because he was the one who got me to play, and that's because I used to beat him at BMXing every week, and he wanted me to do something different, and he's better than me at rugby. So my favourite memory was probably playing 7-a-side games up at Greenland, also breaking my wrist at Birkenshaw, and then my first game back was getting my teeth knocked out in a punch-up a game away, and they wonder why I stopped playing. My hope for Birkenshaw is that they keep doing junior teams and bringing youngsters through, because it's a brilliant...
Boys, hope you're well. My name is Nick Simpson. Positions played at the club were centre, fullback. Years at the club. I only had 1 year down there. I wanted to finish off playing rugby with my mates. A lot of my mates from school played down at Berkey Rugby League Club. And I think it would have been about 2004. Best players played at the club. Probably got 3, I reckon. Terps, definitely up there. Great all-round player, great thinker of the game, tough and smart. Ian Tobin is another one. Real elusive runner, and a try machine, very quick, and Big Bird. So that's three players that I'd put up there. Most memorable moment, Terps knocking himself out, Queensbury away, in the warm-up. So we hadn't even got to the game. So, that was funny. I had to drive his car home, and I think Banksy gave him a lift home. Future of the club. Well, I've been away for 6 years now, living in Australia. I remember before I left, a lot of work was going on at the club by Redders and a couple of the other boys. I took my little fella up there when they first started to get junior teams set up with the young kids. Now we're probably a good 8-10 years on from that now, so hopefully the club's reaping the rewards and getting a few of the junior players that will start feeding into the first team pretty soon. So yeah, the future's bright for Birkenshaw Rugby League Club. Wish you could be with you tonight, boys, to celebrate. Hope you have a great night, and up the Blue Dogs.
Steve Ray played full-back, wing, centre, wherever, general dog's body, and best players I've ever played with, ones who've taught me the most was probably Martin Gallagher and Steve Gamson, 2 brilliant players. Love them a bit. And most memorable moments? Well, a couple. when the Warriors won their league that year. Scored the first try for Birkenshaw against White, and well, just turning up every week was a memorable moment for me because I fucking love this club. Sorry about the swearing.
Thoughts for the future?
And right, for the future, come on the Masters. We're off.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, yeah, it's looking bright. I think we've got a good committee, a good set of lads. Yeah, the first team's a bit raw at the moment, but hopefully we can keep all the juniors together and build up to make a cracking first team again, like we used to be. And cheers.
Brilliant.